the third year of being the rich heir's hidden lover. I finally pulled him down from his pedestal. He broke his vow for me in the dark of night. Later, the kept woman escapes with baby story I wrote exploded across the internet for being too realistic. I was so scared. I didn't even have time to finish the ending. I packed up my kid and moved overnight. But this time, even as a canary that slipped through the cracks, I still got exposed, because a well-meaning reader pointed him in the right direction, insisting on seeing us back together. On the plane, he blocked my way, eyes red and face full of grievance. Wife, next time you run, can you leave the kids at home and just take me? I'm coming to S City for a trip. Can we meet in 3 days? After asking, the other person sent another cute bunny emoji. I want a signed photo with Victoriana. This was from my fan and online reader of 1 month, only V. Over half a year ago. To support my kid, I began serializing a CEO romance novel online, Accidental Baby, The Kept Woman's 99-Day Escape. Initially, it didn't attract many fans, but after reaching a certain word count and being promoted outside the site, readership slowly grew. This fan was a soft-spoken and adorable girl. Also my top donor, she tipped every chapter. Over the past month, I'd been chatting with only V online quite comfortably. Meeting offline didn't seem like a big deal. Sure, see you in 3 days. The night I agreed to meet her, I sat stunned in front of my computer. This seemingly airhead, moneyed fan actually tipped me $3 million, launching me to the top of the site's donation leaderboard. The amount was so outrageous that same night, my novel about the kept woman fleeing with a child got promoted by countless media outlets, setting off a frenzy across the internet. Netizens stayed up all night reading. They didn't just finish the book. They analyzed every detail, but the descriptions of the powerful male lead and the kept female lead were too authentic, and online discussions about the characters quickly made the trending topics list. Hashtag which tycoon's kept woman wrote her real life story. Hashtag kept T-woman escapes 99 days then gets $3 million from tycoon. Hashtag digging up the true identity of the kept woman author. The day after the book blew up, the buzz only intensified. Soon, in the comment sections everywhere, countless heirs and heiresses with D-City IPs started revealing identities and spilling tea online. There are plenty of tycoons who keep women in our circles, but the most famous one used to be Angelo Yee and his girlfriend. He kept her for 3 years. OMG. The luxury items and exclusive gifts in the novel are all real. I happened to see her once at a dinner party. She was wearing the tiers of gem jewelry worth nearly $10 million. They say Angelo's kept woman was stunningly beautiful and adorably obedient. Who would have thought someone so sweet would leave so decisively? Even nearly sending Angelo Yee to the underworld. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through read comments. They were this close to naming me directly. Back then, my entanglement with Angelo caused quite a stir. Everyone in D-City's upper circles had heard some version of it. He was cold and powerful. I was born with seductive charm. My eyes enough to capture anyone, so long as I stayed obedient beside him. Angelo had always been emotionally indifferent. In his mind, spending money on me was just expected. He was only gentle in bed. Off the bed, he was like a different person, aloof and restrained. At first, I really was trying to play the role of a kept woman seriously. I even thought as long as he didn't get married, I could continue like this, until he announced his engagement to his political match, Alice. That's when I finally realized a kept woman was just someone to be paid off. There was no room for real feelings. But I wasn't willing to accept that. I didn't believe 3 years of companionship left no mark on Angelo Yee's heart. In the end, his ruthlessness crushed my hope. He said, a kept woman will always just be a kept woman. She'll never be a phoenix. At that moment, I realized I was completely dispensable in Angelo's world. So I decisively maxed out his black card, drained a good sum, and vanished, leaving him a polite congratulations on the wedding. As for the rumor that Angelo almost died because of me? Nonsense. Pure slander. But all of this came out of nowhere, and the only link I could find was that massive donation from only V. This person was mysterious, never posted a single moment on WeChat. Her avatar was a cute cat, so I'd always assumed she was a girl. I once asked her, "Where did you discover this novel?" She replied, "It popped up in a targeted ad in a friend's post." Given how invasive novel ads are these days, I didn't think much of it. But could someone as rich and high status as her really be into a cliché Mary Sue plot? Suddenly alert. I grabbed my phone and went through our chat history. Looking closely, I noticed something strange. Ever since we became online friends, her most frequent question was, why did the female lead leave? This question was answered clearly in the book. Yet she kept probing for my reasoning. As I reread our chats, another detail jumped out. She constantly analyzed the male lead's behavior, explaining his motives, and always tried to justify him. This wasn't normal fan behavior at all. Then, a bold suspicion struck me like lightning. Could only V actually be Angelo? Normally, no one tips such an astronomical amount, unless they're as rich as Angelo Yee. Back in the day, Angelo never cared about how much he spent on me. Every pocket money transfer to my card started in the millions. He spoiled me into living extravagantly, and I feared poverty if I ever left him. Before I walked away, I thought about the 3 years of my youth I gave him. So, I drained tens of millions from his account and vanished. It wasn't until after I left that I found out I was pregnant. I had no parents and no family. This baby came from the sky like a miracle. I never even considered getting rid of it. I was thankful it came into my life. Once I had the baby, my attention shifted completely. I barely thought about Angelo again. Angelo's genes were just that good. I ended up having twins, a boy and a girl. 3 years ago, I saw him once in a financial news report. He looked more silent and composed than ever. His gaze as sharp as a blade, cold and detached. That kind of emotional emptiness was different from how he used to be. 3 years ago, he still had flickers of emotion in bed. Sometimes unable to restrain himself, he'd hold my waist and kiss my collarbone when overcome. At least back then, there was still some feeling. But 3 years later, Angelo Yee looked like the Walking Dead. Even just seeing him on screen, I could sense his gloom. He wasn't doing well. Mommy, my brother and I are back. Olivia's cheerful voice pulled me out of my thoughts. She ran up and hugged my waist, her big bright eyes gleaming, her smile warm and sweet. Mommy, someone asked me today, why don't I have a daddy? The little boy behind her had features nearly identical to Angelo's, same eyebrows, same cold expression, same distant eyes, like a little adult. Didn't Mommy already tell you? Daddy's dead. Noah held his sister's hand and answered her. Whenever this topic came up, Olivia always cried, Brother, you're lying. If Daddy's dead, then where did you and I come from? Her unique logic left both me and Noah in silence. I quickly changed the subject, rubbing her cheeks gently. Olivia, we're moving. Start packing, now. I told Noah to book the plane tickets. Whether only V was Angelo or not, we couldn't stay here. The Canary's 99-day escape was now a viral sensation. Angelo could follow the trail any day and try to take the kids. Olivia and Noah were used to our constantly relocating life. But this was the first time they'd seen me pack up and flee this quickly. Thankfully, the kids were well behaved and didn't question me. Noah booked the flight online, and I packed our things. We headed straight for the airport. If only V wasn't Angelo. Then, I'm sorry. She'd been looking forward to meeting me, and I'd let her down. On the plane, Noah and I took 2 seats on the left. Olivia sat on the aisle seat to the right. On her right side was a man. He held a magazine, wearing sunglasses that covered half his face, couldn't see his features clearly. But those sunglasses were unusually flashy. Weird. Who reads a magazine with sunglasses on a plane? Still, I only glanced once. 4 strangers. I don't pay much attention. After takeoff, I finally started to relax. As long as we got out of S City, Angelo wouldn't find us. In the past, every escape attempt failed. Angelo always had people watching me, to dodge his eyes and lull him into complacency. I tried everything, but every time, I got caught and dragged back. Eventually, I spiked his drink and bribed the driver to finally make a successful escape. But this time was different. The situation had escalated. I had a feeling Angelo was going to settle the score. Fortunately, with years of running behind me, slipping away had become second nature. I curved my lips into a smile, chuckling softly. Noah suddenly looked up at me, his little face puzzled. Mommy, that uncle is weird. I think he's watching us. I cupped his face gently and adjusted his posture. Don't look. He might be a human trafficker. Noah, that's scary. Not long after takeoff, I felt a dull ache in my lower abdomen. Noah, take care of your sister. I'm going to the restroom. He nodded. So I went, feeling at ease. After all, the plane had already taken off. What else could possibly go wrong? Turns out, I was way too optimistic. When I came back, Olivia's eyes sparkled. Her face lit up with excitement. Mommy, look! This uncle looks exactly like my brother. And he said he's willing to be his dad. The man's expression was cold, his eyes glinting with a dangerous chill. His lips parted slightly, voice tinged with cold sarcasm and a hint of inexplicable grievance. Victoria, didn't you say you'd escaped 99 times? How come I caught you on your 9th? The moment I looked up, my vision went black. I wanted nothing more than to strap my kids to a rocket and flee this planet. Angelo's cold, distant features were laced with abstinence. His lips were tight, his expression thunderous. Clearly, he was pissed off, like a grim reaper in the flesh. My mind went blank. I forced myself to stay calm and said, "Sorry, sir, you've got the wrong person." I'd be insane to admit it. Angelo had appeared too suddenly. I hadn't even figured out where to run next. Worse, he looked furious. Clearly, he was here to settle the score. After all, I had taken a significant chunk of his money. Stingy bastard. Angelo narrowed his eyes, that dangerous gaze sweeping over me. Then his eyes flicked to Olivia and Noah. I instinctively shielded the children behind me, refusing to let Angelo lay eyes on them. Come for me all you want, but you're not taking my kids. Victoria, I've searched so long for you, and now you dare say I've mistaken you? Angelo's face was cold, his voice full of disbelief. I turned my gaze away. I didn't even want to look at him. Just then, a soft milky voice shattered the tense silence. Mommy, why won't you admit it? Aren't you Victoria? Or is this uncle your enemy? Olivia tilted her little head in confusion. Angelo scoffed, clearly amused, as if to say, how long do you plan to keep pretending? I muted the conversation by hand, literally. I clamped my hand over Olivia's mouth, forcing a couple awkward laughs. I said, we really don't know each other. We're on a plane. Sir, please stay in your seat. Then I grabbed Olivia's hand, trying to walk past him, but Angelo suddenly grabbed my wrist. His cold fingertips grazed my skin, sending a shiver straight to my heart. I fought the tremble and yanked my arm back. Let go. But when I looked up, I was caught in those complicated eyes of his. Angelo's gaze was full of grievance, fury, and burning longing, emotions too intense for me to face. Victoria, if you try to run from me again, I'll make sure you lose your freedom completely. I choked, momentarily speechless. He sounded like a madman, like he really would do it. Then, like a balloon deflating, his grip on my wrist loosened, his expression softened with heartbreaking vulnerability. He lowered his lashes and murmured, "Wife, next time you run, leave the kids at home and just take me, okay?" He said it so naturally, while I was scared to death. Wife. Wow. Wife! Olivia's voice rang out like a firecracker as she turned to Noah. Noah, ever the logical one, began processing aloud. You called my mom wife? Then she should call you husband? And we should call you. He paused. His eyes lit up like stars. Daddy, Daddy, Olivia echoed. I took a deep breath. Before I could catch Angelo's pleased expression, I quickly covered both their mouths. Shoo, you can't call people that in public. He's not your father. Didn't I tell you? Your biological dad is already dead. Angelo, tragically pronounced dead. Noah asked, Mommy, so we can't say it in public, but in private. Can we call him that? No. Yes. Angelo and I spoke in unison. I glared at him and pulled out a blanket, wrapping it tightly around the kids until only their wide, innocent eyes peeked out. It was simple. I didn't want Angelo even thinking about my two precious babies. I cupped Noah's face and whispered, He's a bad guy, not your father. Don't call him that. Noah looked over at Angelo, doubt clouding his tiny face. Are you sure, Mommy? They looked way too alike. The odds were not in my favor. I nodded vaguely. Thankfully, both kids were obedient, sensing my displeasure. They didn't call him Daddy again. What I didn't expect was how Angelo clung to me like a human-sized piece of duct tape I couldn't peel off. The moment we got off the plane and arrived at our hotel, I found his room was right across from ours. I tried taking the kids to a night market, bumped into him there too. He was like a ghost I couldn't shake. That same night, I booked a return flight. There's no way Angelo expected me to boomerang right back to S City so soon. The next morning, I went downstairs to grab breakfast for the kids, ran straight into him. I tried closing the door reflexively, but Angelo pressed one palm against it. Face cold. Victoria, stop playing games. If I can find you once, I can find you again for the rest of your life. His lips curled into a mocking, icy smile. His gaze ran from head to toe, devoid of warmth, just like 5 years ago. Detached, unfeeling. No matter where you run, I'll always bring you back myself. I froze. My expression darkened. I released the door handle and asked coldly, "You think chasing one woman forever makes you some kind of hero?" Angelo paused, momentarily thrown. He lowered his head to mask his emotions. "No, I'm a failure for not being able to keep the only person I've ever wanted." The way he said it, so sincere, like he was genuinely regretting and reflecting. But what did he have to regret? He was Angelo Yee. He could have anyone. Why would he ever care about one kept woman? Not to mention, he was already engaged when I left. By now, he was probably married. If that's the case, why pretend to be sentimental? I had already booked my flight, already returned to S City. Since even new cities couldn't keep him away, I might as well stay in a place I knew best. This time, I completely dodged Angelo Yee. He had no idea when I left or where I was now. That night, I took Olivia and Noah for a walk, hand in hand, breathing in the fresh air. My mood lifted instantly. Angelo had probably returned to D-City, fuming after everything. Good. That's how it should be between us, distant. Suddenly, under a street lamp, I spotted a luxury car idling. Thin wisps of smoke curled from the half-lowered window, and a slender, well-defined hand tapped rhythmically on the glass. Tap, 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 slow and steady, like it was coded language. It was him again, Angelo. He always had that habit, tapping tables or windows when waiting for someone. The rhythm oddly precise, almost like a trained reflex. Compared to last time's surprise, I was calmer now. I planned to take a detour, but the car had already pulled up in front of me. He glanced at me with disinterest, one hand resting lazily on the steering wheel. Smoke curled around his sharp features, his expression unreadable behind the haze. Since when did Angelo start smoking? 5 years ago. He wouldn't even touch the stuff. His gaze pinned me down. That voice, light and taunting, recognized me. "And you still want to run?" I took a deep breath, then said steadily, "Angelo, I admit I was wrong. I shouldn't have taken your money and run. You paid me monthly, gave bonuses if I behaved. By all logic, I shouldn't have been so greedy and walked off with your money." I lowered my head, avoiding his eyes. "I know how much I took. I'll pay you back." Money that wasn't mine weighed heavy. Spending it brought no peace. Angelo said nothing, but I could feel his gaze, dark and furious. So I sighed and added, "Once I've repaid you, please stop looking for me." He gave a soft scoff, eyes full of disdain and defiance. "You think you can calculate it?" Then his gaze dropped to the kids. My chest tightened. I instinctively stepped in front of them. "You can't calculate it." Maybe it was blood calling to blood. Olivia and Noah showed no resistance to him. In fact, they were excited. "Uncle, do you want to come to our house?" Angelo smiled. For a second, the cold faded from his eyes, replaced by a rare tenderness. "Sure." He stepped out of the car, reaching toward Olivia. I quickly blocked him. "Noah, take your sister upstairs." Noah instantly sensed something was wrong. His little brow furrowed, and he stepped in front of me protectively like a mini bodyguard. "Don't bully mommy," Angelo chuckled, surprisingly soft, rubbing Noah's head gently. "Good job, little man, protecting your mom and sister already." I soothed Noah, and after a bit of coaxing, he led Olivia upstairs. Angelo let out a breath. "Vicky, can we talk?" His words slammed into me like a fist. Blood froze in my veins. My chest clenched. I'd been avoiding him for days, precisely because I didn't want to talk. Talk about what? The kids? The past? His happy, completed marriage? He was already married. What was left to say? But with nowhere left to hide, I decided to face it head on. Angelo, let me be clear, I will never get back together with you. And those kids, they're not yours. Angelo gave me a look I couldn't read. He tilted his head back, slowly exhaling smoke. Then he ground out the cigarette under his shoe, snuffing out the last ember. Victoria, I want to kiss you. The words came out of nowhere. Angelo suddenly leaned in, eyes dark and smoldering, the scent of tobacco thick between us. I froze for a second, then immediately covered his mouth with my hand. Angelo, what the hell is wrong with you? Weren't we going to talk? Why are you trying to kiss me? You planning to cheat on your wife now? Didn't you already get married? I sneered. Let me warn you, I'd never be some home-wrecking mistress. Angelo paused, narrowing his eyes. Then he burst into quiet laughter, his chest rising and falling as his eyes curved in amusement. I flushed with embarrassment, wishing I could disappear. Angelo! After a moment, he stopped laughing. His face sobered as he looked at me. There was warmth in his gaze, genuine affection. I'm not married. Vicky. What? My brain short-circuited. Angelo isn't married? Victoria. I never realized how cute you were before. I just thought you were obedient. But now, you're both obedient and cute. I glared at him. You didn't use to compliment people. He replied seriously. I didn't get married, and if I ever do, it'll be with you. If it's not you, I won't marry anyone. Then why the hell did you announce your engagement to Alice? Even after I left, they never got married. While I was still reeling, his phone rang. He answered it, and his expression changed immediately. Serious, cold. He looked at me, eyes sharp, and without asking, pulled me into a hug. I tried to push him away, but he held me tighter. Don't move. It's been so long. Let me just hold you. He nestled into my neck, his soft hair brushing my skin, making it tingle and itch. Angelo, Vicky, I have something important to deal with. When I come back, I'll explain everything. Then he slowly let go. He looked at me, lips pursed, expression tinged with sorrow. He sighed. I still want to kiss you. I rolled my eyes. Get lost. As he turned to leave, I couldn't help but mutter, be careful. Lately, I'd noticed how much Angelo had changed. His emotions were visible now. He could laugh, get angry, say unpredictable things. This Angelo felt alive. Not like the cold, lifeless man I knew 5 years ago. Back then, when we fought, I moved out of his villa in a rage. Angelo Yi never came to coax me back. We didn't see each other for a whole month. It wasn't until I was burning with fever and nearly dying in a rented room that I called him in a daze. I've never had anyone in my life I could count on. If I died, no one would even claim my body. Angelo was my benefactor, and also my only friend. Back then, when I called him in a fevered daze, I just hoped he'd collect my corpse, but to my surprise, the workaholic actually took a whole week off and did something completely unthinkable. He took care of me. Even though he looked after me meticulously every day, he never had anything nice to say. Women are just too delicate. If you ever get mad and walk out on me again, in the end, he'd just sigh, drawling out the words, leaning close to my ear, forget it. I just want you to get better soon. I remember my head pounding. That might have been the first time Angelo ever let down his guard in front of me. I was overwhelmed with joy and nestled into his arms, playfully clingy, and I kissed him without hesitation. I had always loved those cold, emotionless eyes of his, the way they would glow with life because of me. Angelo was the deepest ripple in the still waters of my quiet life, inescapable, unforgettable. I stood outside for a long time, long enough for the cold to seep into my bones. Snapping back to reality, I gathered myself and headed upstairs. Olivia and Noah were already asleep, but I still wanted to check on them. Opening the door, I saw that Olivia had kicked off her blanket, one small leg dangling off the edge of the bed. I picked up the quilt and tucked it back around her, but when my hand brushed her leg, I froze. She was burning hot. I reached out to touch her forehead. Her skin was scalding. Her cheeks flushed crimson. Panic surged through me. I pushed it down and gently shook her awake. Baby, wake up. Olivia stirred, her eyes bloodshot from the fever. My heart clenched as I stroked her hair. Sweetheart, you're sick. Let's go to the hospital, okay? She nodded obediently and rubbed her cheek into my palm as if trying to comfort me. That tenderness made my eyes sting with tears. When she was born, she weighed barely 3.5 pounds, just a fragile little thing in an incubator. During pregnancy, I hadn't been able to nourish them properly. One strong, one weak. Noah had always been healthier. Olivia, on the other hand, was constantly sick. I pampered her, protected her, and still, she was often unwell. Noah looked after her too. Maybe all the moving lately had finally taken a toll. The guilt hit hard. I rushed Olivia to the hospital. On the way to the pediatric ward, I bumped into a painfully familiar figure, Angelo. Beside him stood a graceful, elegant woman, his former fiancée, Alice. I'd seen her in news reports before, attending events with Angelo. They looked like the perfect couple. Now, seeing them together again, everything in my heart seemed confirmed. Swallowing my bitterness, I turned away, ready to leave, but the little girl in my arms, who had been silent until now, suddenly called out, "Daddy." I froze, clutching her tighter. Forget it. Getting her treatment comes first. I hadn't even reached the elevator when someone grabbed my wrist. His grip was tight, almost desperate. His usually composed face was stricken, his eyes rimmed red, full of panic like he feared I would disappear if he let go. "Vicky, why are you here? Please, let me explain. There's nothing between me and Alice. If you're mad, just say so. Don't leave without a word again." I pressed my lips together, wanting to explain, but Angelo clearly wasn't in a state to hear reason. His fingers clung to me with frantic desperation. "Vicky, no matter what happens, I won't let you leave me again. Hate me, blame me. I don't care. If keeping you means being ruthless, then so be it. I'll do anything." I couldn't follow his logic. Right now, I was just trying to get my daughter medical help. "Are you done?" His words choked in his throat. His eyes reddened again as his grip slackened slightly. "You even yell at me now." His voice was so aggrieved it made me falter. "Angelo, Olivia's sick. I need to take her to the pediatric department right now. Whatever's going on between us, can we talk later? I will listen to your explanation, just not now." I took Olivia in to be treated. Angelo stayed close, helping with everything. At first, I wanted to refuse his help, but then I remembered he is Olivia's father. Helping is the least he can do. And right now, Olivia needed people around her. In the past, whenever Olivia got sick, it was just Noah and me. I'd be running around paying bills while the two of them, barely able to speak clearly, would wait silently on a hospital bench. This time, after arranging everything, Olivia was admitted and put on N4. "Can we talk?" He gently tucked Olivia in, adjusting her blanket. "Outside," I said. This time, we needed to talk. In the stairwell, Angelo stood with his back to me, his slim frame casting a lonely shadow. His presence had changed over the years. He'd grown into a calm, composed man, carrying the authority of someone used to power. His silence alone could weigh on a person. "I just got a call. My father's condition worsened. He's been in the hospital for half a year without improvement. Tonight, I got a critical notice. Thankfully, he pulled through after emergency treatment. Alice is one of the doctors overseeing his care. She's not the only one. There's a whole team." He turned to face me slowly, voice solemn. "I never married Alice. The engagement was a business arrangement. We agreed not to interfere in each other's personal lives, even if we married. Alice knew about you. I thought." He paused. "Back then, I was arrogant. I thought you'd never leave. When you did, I realized I'd been wrong. Completely." He took a step closer, meeting my gaze. His eyes glimmered with something like hope. "Vicky, give me a chance. Let's try again." It was heartbreaking. The answer I had longed for 5 years ago had finally arrived, just 5 years too late, because I'd already stepped out of Angelo's world. "Angelo, were we ever truly together?" No. Both Angelo and I knew the answer. His expression shifted, but he said nothing. "You were my patron, not my boyfriend. You gave me money. I stayed by your side. If we're being honest, It was a superior-subordinate relationship. I gave a soft laugh. Angelo, I'm not going to be with you. You think the problem between us is Alice. It's not. This was always about mutual interest. You didn't have to offer love. And neither did I. I knew there'd be no future. And yet, I still held on to a bit of delusion, and I paid the price for it. 5 years ago, Angelo was cold to the extreme. I cooked for him out of joy. He told me that wasn't what a kept woman should do, and dumped the hot meals straight into the trash. I prepared surprises for the holidays. He reminded me again and again, a canary only needs to serve him in bed, no surprises, no gifts, no love. Over and over, he reminded me that I was just a canary. He treated me like a tool to stave off loneliness. But me? I started seeing him as a lover, awake. And still I sank deeper. Angelo, how am I supposed to believe you suddenly like me now, when you never did before? Feelings fade, not grow. With time, I didn't even notice the pallor on Angelo's face, or the way his body trembled slightly. And as I pushed him further, I said something even crueler. Angelo, you once told me that a canary will always be a canary, that I could never be a phoenix. You never saw me as anything more. So what's with the act now? Is it because of the kids? I laughed. It almost brought tears to my eyes. I made myself perfectly clear. The children aren't yours. And if you dare lay a hand on them, I swear, I'll fight you to the death. Angelo went completely still, the light fading from his eyes. His hands fell weakly to his sides, his entire frame defeated and broken. I'm sick, he whispered. I blinked, looking at him for a long moment. He looked as strong as ever, slender, sure, but his build showed signs of long-term training. Even with clothes on, you could tell his body was lean and solid, let alone when he wasn't dressed. Angelo, that's the excuse you came up with? His eyes flared, face contorting with shame and frustration. You don't believe me? He muttered, almost to himself. You actually don't believe me. You used to always believe me. His expression was full of desolation, a bitter curve forming at the corner of his lips, like a self-deprecating confession. Victoria, I really am sick. Seeing him like that, so fragile, softened something inside me. Angelo, I hesitated, reaching out. He immediately seized my hand. He grabbed my waist and pushed me against the wall, one hand at my neck, trapping me completely. I could only press my hands to his chest. His kiss landed softly, carefully, almost reverently. My breath caught in my throat. His scent, his heat, surrounded me. His kiss made my knees weak. Vicky, he murmured, his eyes misty and voice almost pleading. You still can't help but soften toward me. Angelo, let me go. I struggled, trying to push him away, but he only tightened his grip on my wrists. A slow smile spread across his lips, gaze burning hot as it pinned itself to mine, and then to my lips. He leaned in again, and I quickly turned my head. Our lips brushed, but only just. He held me tighter, murmuring in frustration, Victoria, what am I supposed to do with you? I shoved him away without hesitation and marched out of the stairwell. Now that everything had been laid bare, that kiss, it was our farewell. Morning. I picked Noah up and returned to the hospital. Olivia was already on her 4-drip, but she still needed follow-up tests and meds. When I came back with the prescriptions, I paused at the door. Inside, the scene was impossibly warm. Angelo cradled Olivia in his arms. Noah lay on the bed beside them. The three were deep in conversation, Angelo deliberately cracking jokes, doing everything to make them laugh. In just 5 years, Angelo had gone from cold and distant to this warm, gentle man. But I couldn't understand it. How could someone change so much? If he really loved me 5 years ago, why didn't he just explain? If it was all a staged engagement with Alice, a single sentence from him, and I would have believed it. But he didn't explain. Instead, he acted along with Alice, fully committed to the performance. In his world, I never felt love or affection, let alone respect. Mom doesn't want to admit it, Olivia said seriously, but my brother and I both know you're our dad. Noah nodded solemnly. Then, tilting his head, he asked, did you make Mommy mad? Angelo pinched his cheek gently. Yeah, I made her mad. She won't even let me come home. Noah crossed his arms and huffed. Humph. If you made mommy mad, I won't forgive you. Olivia nodded in agreement. That's right. Unless mommy forgives you, we're not calling you daddy. Noah corrected her. It's recognize our roots. I knocked on the door, cutting off their little drama. Well, if you don't like him, then get off him already. The two kids practically rolled off him in a panic. Mommy! I picked up Noah and gently pinched his cheek. Didn't I tell you? Don't talk to strangers, and definitely don't go around calling someone dad. Before Noah could respond, I turned to Angelo. All business. Mr. Yi, since everything's already been said, I think it's time you leave. His face tensed. Vicky. I didn't let him finish. I grabbed him by the arm and pulled him off the bed. Mr. Yi, I don't blame you. In fact, I'm grateful. I pushed him to the doorway, planting one hand firmly on the frame to block him. His face darkened, urgency in his eyes. Vicky, I know you're angry, but won't you give me a chance to make things right? I looked him straight in the eye, every word like a blade. No, Angelo, this is the end of us. 5 years ago, I never got the chance to end things properly. Now, I'm making up for it. Whatever existed between Angelo and me ends here. It's better for both of us. Angelo's face darkened. His gaze grew cold and heavy, his voice hoarse. He said, Impossible. I started this relationship. Only I can end it. Victoria, I won't let you say it's over. I laughed bitterly, forcing down the sourness rising in my chest. My voice turned sharp. Angelo, you're really something. Who are you to me? What right do you have to order me? Back then, when Angelo was my patron, I never dared to defy him. I was always obedient, always well-behaved. But the person standing in front of him now wasn't the same woman. Angelo should have been disappointed. I'll prove it to you, he muttered. In the end, I still made him leave in anger. Once he was gone, I turned to the kids, trying to maintain a stern face. From now on, don't get too close to him. He's not a good guy. Noah clutched my hand. Mom, did he hurt you? I paused. Angelo had his sharp tongue, but he'd never really hurt me. He did what any patron would. I was the one who crossed the line. Mommy, do you like him? Noah's innocent voice caught me off guard. What? I nearly choked. Did Noah seriously ask that? Kids these days, way too perceptive. But before I could answer, Olivia gave Noah a smack on the head. Dummy, if mommy didn't like him, how would we even be here? Of course she liked him, and daddy likes mommy too, a lot. I've never been someone who gets chosen. I've never even been sure what love really is. Why do you say that? I asked. Olivia smiled sweetly, eyes sparkling with seriousness. Because when daddy looks at you, his eyes aren't the same as when he looks at anyone else. She leaned close and whispered into my ear. His eyes get all sparkly, like there are tiny stars in them. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be? Angelo actually likes me? The ongoing serialization of Accidental Baby, the kept woman's 99-day escape, broke the website's all-time records. The site editor had already contacted a publisher once it's finished. It can be published immediately. Only V hadn't contacted me since then. I took the initiative to message her. I'm in S City now. I'm really sorry for standing you up last time. Maybe we can meet again someday. She replied instantly. I'm not in S City, but we will meet again. Again? I couldn't help but suspect this person was Angelo, but I had no proof. Speaking of Angelo, he hadn't shown up since that last time he left. He was probably disheartened and went back to D City. Typical unreliable man. I was both annoyed and frustrated. Part of me hoped he would come, but another part feared he wouldn't. As the days passed without any sign of Angelo, the disappointment weighed heavily on me. Truthfully, I didn't hate Angelo. On the contrary, I was grateful to him. If not for his outstanding genes, I wouldn't have had two such beautiful and intelligent children. I have no parents, no one to rely on. Angelo was the only person I was close to, the only one willing to reach out a hand to help me. And now, he wasn't coming anymore. While cursing him in my heart for being so unreliable, vanishing after just a few sweet words, Probably never liked me to begin with. What a fuckboy. I also couldn't help but feel miserable. My once peaceful life had been thrown into chaos by Angelo, and he turned out to be just another fuckboy. But to my surprise, a week later, the doorbell rang. The moment I opened the door, a tall figure lunged forward and pulled me into a tight embrace. Vicky. That familiar scent overwhelmed me. My heart skipped a few wild beats. My hands froze awkwardly midair. I tried to hug him back, then let them fall away. Angelo? Weren't you not coming? What are you doing here? The smile at the corner of Angelo's lips stiffened, and his expression shifted. You didn't want me to come? I hesitated. Seeing me silent, Angelo raised an eyebrow slightly, a subtle joy flickering across his cool features. But what if I hadn't come? Victoria? Angelo pulled out a medical report. A bad feeling instantly seized me, suddenly. I remembered something he had once said. He told me he was sick. That wasn't a lie. Angelo asked cautiously, "Aren't you going to look?" With trembling fingers, I took the psychological report from him. Emotional apathy disorder. The weight of those 5 words slammed into my chest. Angelo. You. I wanted to say something, but couldn't. Angelo, however, was far calmer than I expected. 5 years ago, I really didn't understand emotions. I couldn't even recognize my feelings for you. Not until you left did I realize it. These past few years, I've been seeing doctors, learning to feel emotional fluctuations, taking medicine, undergoing electroshock therapy, and psychological stimulation. He treated himself like a psychiatric patient, but he wasn't. Angelo shouldn't be like this. He was supposed to be the golden boy adored by everyone. And yet, he couldn't even perceive emotions. Angelo leaned against the wall, one hand covering his eyes, blocking out the shadows in his gaze. His whole body radiated a helpless fatigue. I've never told you about my past. Do you want to hear it? I nodded. When I was young, I wasn't living with the Yi family. I wasn't the young Master Angelo you imagined. My mother took me away and raised me to be the Yi family heir. Everything in my life followed a rigid script with no room for error. Discipline and perfection were her teachings. High academic achievement was the baseline. I had to be a genius, just to be considered adequate. So that was why the Angelo from 5 years ago never smiled. Never understood basic human warmth. Angelo lowered his hand, his eyes settling on me with an emotion I'd never seen before, genuine, overwhelming affection. Then I met you, and for the first time in my life, I did something utterly out of line. I took in a rebellious little canary that refused to behave. I was momentarily stunned, the corners of my lips twitching. Angelo Yi told me that at the beginning. He didn't know how to interact with me, so he went online to search for advice. He really had learned quite a bit, from showering me with money to experimenting with all kinds of tactics. Aside from indulging in pleasure, his greatest passion was spending money on me. It wasn't until I left that he realized how wrong he'd been. And truthfully, he had changed a lot over the years. No wonder he'd once been so cold and rigid. He had lived shackled, boxed in by expectations and strict rules. The man standing before me now, this was the real Angelo. But still, I crossed my arms and warned him. Don't think this means I'll forgive you. Angelo's lips curved gently, the sharpness in his features melting into softness. He stepped closer, testing the waters. Really? Not even a little? I hesitated for a split second, and he chuckled. Low and deep. You're so heartless, not even willing to accept the kid's real father. I quickly covered his mouth. Don't talk nonsense. But his brows furrowed slightly, eyes darkening as he grasped my hand. Then tell me, are they really not mine? His voice was low, almost whispering, but carried a weight of suspicion that made my blood boil. I nearly slapped him. Angelo, you seriously doubt me? Clenching my teeth, I snapped at him. Noah and Olivia are your children. That's not up for debate. Of course. Both kids heard everything. They immediately launched themselves at us, their eyes sparkling with joy. Yay, we have a daddy. Noah, serious as ever, looked up at me. Mom, you're not allowed to hate Dad, and you can't leave him. I pinched his cheek gently, my gaze meeting Angelo's. I won't hate him, and I won't leave anymore. All the pain and mess, it had all been for the best possible reunion. Some journeys are meant to bring us back to where we were always supposed to be, through tears. misunderstandings, and rebirth. Epilogue. There was one thing that had always bugged me. It had weighed on my heart for years. One night, unable to bear it anymore, I pulled Angelo out of bed and interrogated him. Why me? Why did you pick me to be your canary? The Angelo from 8 years ago wasn't the kind of man who would do something like that. Our first meeting hadn't been romantic. I was being chased and beaten when I crashed into his car by accident. He paid for my medical treatment, and when I was discharged, he proposed the patron arrangement. It was the best option for me, but for Angelo, it made no sense. He lay at the edge of the bed, wrapped an arm around me, and kissed my forehead softly. I don't know, he said. I just remember your eyes were beautiful, like a kitten I once raised. I tilted my head, curious. What happened to the kitten? His fingers tightened slightly. His gaze dimmed. She died. He told me about a stray cat he had taken in. At first, she was filthy, but her eyes were stunning. Under his care, she became beautiful, pure white, glowing. But then his mother found out. The kitten, finally healthy, was brutally killed. She even boiled it into a pot of soup as a warning. She told Angelo that his life had no place for weak creatures. I lifted my head and kissed his lips, my heart aching for him, but he flipped over and pressed me down, his eyes gleaming with unspoken desire. Wait. Angelo. He paused. His eyes, full of heat, now looked confused. Angelo, is there anything else you're hiding from me? His gaze began to clear. He didn't respond, but I already knew something was off. You are hiding something. This damned man. Figures it wasn't just one thing. Only V was me. I exhaled. Oh, no surprise. No one but Angelo would be dumb enough to blow 3 million in one tip. Unhappy with my reaction, he bit my neck. I gasped, but he only licked the spot gently, nuzzling into my skin. His voice rasped with want. Vicky, can I? I smiled and kissed the corner of his eye. That little gesture gave him all the permission he needed. He slipped his hands beneath my pajamas. We tumbled together into our own world, chaotic, passionate, and dazzlingly beautiful. Story 2. I was raised as the daughter-in-law of Alex's family from a young age. At the age of 20, I married Alex. At 24, I gave birth to Ryan. Ryan is very much like Alex. Always quiet and distant, not very close to me. Every night, I would bring them both a cup of warm milk before bed. But on this day, Alex accidentally knocked over the cup, and Ryan secretly poured his milk away. Suddenly, I felt a little tired. The moment I handed the divorce papers to Alex, he frowned in displeasure and asked me, "Just because of this?" Yes, just because of this. Chapter 1. What about our son? Ryan, what do you plan to do with him? Alex reverted to his usual expressionless face, asking me in a businesslike tone. I sat across from him, like a guest at his negotiation table, and calmly replied, I will give up custody of him. The house in the eastern suburbs will also be transferred to his name, as compensation for child support. After all, this child is their family's grandson. Compared to being with me, he and Alex seem more like a real family. Alex looked down at me, his gaze indifferent, as if he didn't understand what I was making a fuss about. Lisa, his tone softened. If it's because of the milk incident that you're upset, I apologize. You know, I was drunk last night. I didn't mean to treat you that way, he patiently explained, still thinking it was all about the milk. Last night, Alex came home late from a business dinner. I had waited for him for half the night. Awakened by the cold air he brought in when he opened the door, I got up from the couch and saw him removing his coat, rubbing his temples in discomfort. I immediately went to the kitchen and brought out the milk that had been warming for a long time. Though our relationship was never particularly great, we always managed to keep up appearances. But last night, I asked a little more. Did you meet someone? The perfume on you smells familiar. Alex suddenly let go of the milk he had taken. I didn't react in time. The glass cup slipped from our fingers, shattering the silence of the room under the warm light. Alex's expression hardened, and his presence became irritated. He glared at me, warning, Lisa, You've crossed the line. From now on, don't wait up for me at night. And don't prepare any more milk for me. My son, Ryan, who saw his father's actions, secretly poured out his milk as well. When I found out, he stood at the door and apologized just as emotionlessly. I'm sorry, Mom, if Dad doesn't drink it. I don't want to drink it either. In their eyes, this was probably a trivial matter. I shouldn't, and couldn't, make a big deal out of something so insignificant. Chapter 2. I didn't explain any further. I signed the papers, entrusted the lawyer, and chose to end my marriage with Alex. Alex calmly spoke about the division of property. I didn't listen much, nor did I care. I went back to the room to pack my things. He looked down at me and said, Lisa, the procedures will take time. You don't have to rush to move out. You can keep this house. I glanced at this man who remained calm and indifferent. I responded quietly with words he had once said to me. It's better to finish things cleanly and decisively, to avoid any lingering problems. Alex said nothing more. I never thought packing up would be something I wouldn't know where to start. The house was filled with little things, all carefully arranged by me over the years. I took one last look around and finally decided to keep it simple. Dragging my suitcase toward the door, Alex stopped me. Where are you going? To your parents' house? I'll have the driver take you. No need. I refused, and told him, just make sure the housekeeper clears out my things tomorrow. I won't deal with it. After all, they didn't need another pair of hands around here. As I stepped out the door, I paused for a moment. I turned back and spoke to Ryan, who had been standing behind Alex with his usual expressionless face. I won't pick you up from kindergarten anymore, but remember not to go with strangers. It was my last bit of responsibility to myself. After that, I turned and left. I didn't look back at the child who once cried through the nights when he was weaned. The same child I had cradled in my arms and soothed with patience through endless sleepless nights. Chapter 3. I bought a ticket to leave the city. I randomly chose a city in the south. Ever since I was told at the age of 14 that I would marry into Alex's family, my freedom and choices had been restricted. After marrying Alex, apart from attending necessary events, he never took the initiative to take me out anywhere. The most common routine in my life was waiting for them to come home every night, and bringing them a cup of warm milk before bed. Everyone in our social circle said that my mother-in-law raised me well, that I was the perfect wife tailor-made for Alex. I matched his status and took good care of his life. The only flaw? I was too perfect. Perfect to the point of being boring, making me seem a little rigid. I once overheard Alex's friends teasing him. Alex, what's it like living the life of an old married couple at such a young age? Your wife is too dull. She smiles like a mannequin. Do you want us to introduce you to someone more interesting? Just the other day, Diego met a funny girl. She's hilarious. Kind of like Vanessa. What do you think? Vanessa, Alex's first love. Back then, his mother disapproved of their relationship, and Alex resisted in every way he could. Later, I don't know what happened, but they broke up, and Vanessa moved to the United States. After that, when Alex was 20, he suddenly accepted his family's arrangement and proposed to me. 4 years later, I gave birth to Ryan. Oh, right. I just remembered. The familiar perfume I smelled that night, it was the one Vanessa used to wear. A custom gardenia scent. Chapter 4. After finding a place to live in the southern city, I wandered around many places. The fine misty rain of Jiangnan, the hazy alleys, everything fascinated me. I didn't expect that on the third morning, I would suddenly receive a call from Alex. He seemed to have just woken up, his voice hoarse as he asked me, Lisa, where did you put the pair of ruby cufflinks you bought for me at last year's auction? I paused for a moment. In the second drawer of the closet. I then asked him, what's the occasion? Alex, a shopping mall ribbon-cutting ceremony. Me, the matching suit is the fourth one on the second row. Alex didn't seem fully awake, and I could hear the sounds of him searching in the background, along with faint complaints. After listening for a while, I asked, did you find them? The noise stopped, as if he finally realized something. Found them. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. I responded with a simple and said, I know. I advised him. Have the housekeeper reorganize your things. If you can't find something again, just ask them. And in the future, don't call me about these things anymore. Alex was silent for a moment before saying, okay. After hanging up, I blocked his number and tried to fall back asleep. But this time, no matter what, I couldn't sleep soundly. I had a series of strange dreams. There were scenes of me at 14, laughing and playing with my classmates at school. At 15, seeing Alex for the first time on a sunny day. At 16, sneaking out to race cars and the pain of being dragged home by my father and having my legs broken. And then, a shrill ringing interrupted my dream. I woke up instantly, irritated, and groped for my phone on the bedside table. It was an unfamiliar number. I pressed to answer, and a polite voice came through. Hello, is this Ryan's mother? I'm Ryan's teacher from kindergarten. There's a robotics exhibition at school today, and Ryan is participating. But he didn't bring his project. He said his mother was preparing it for him. Could you bring it over for him? The teacher was very warm. My fingers tightened around the phone, and I closed my eyes, feeling an indescribable exhaustion. Not long ago, I was sitting in the living room, carefully following a video tutorial, learning step by step how to make Ryan's craft project. But I left too quickly that day, and the robot was still unfinished. I looked at the bright sun high in the sky outside and softly replied to the teacher, I'm sorry, but I'm no longer Ryan's guardian, and I won't be taking care of him anymore. And, is he with you right now? The teacher sounded a bit awkward. Yes. Ryan is right here next to me. I sighed. Could you please put the phone on speaker? Sure. Thank you. I heard the rustling sound of the phone being moved, followed by silence. I knew Ryan could hear me. I spoke softly. Ryan, the robot is in your toy box in your room. You can call your dad to bring it to you, or ask anyone else. But from now on, I hope you won't call me anymore. I won't pick you up, and I won't help you with your crafts. You know, I'm no longer your mother. After that, I apologized to the teacher once more and hung up the phone. Chapter 5. Saying those words to a child I nearly gave my life to bring into this world. It's impossible not to feel sorrow. I can't remember exactly when Ryan started becoming more and more like Alex. Alex and I had an arranged marriage from a very early age. When I was 14, my grandfather and father walked out of the study with smiles, along with the elders from Alex's family. From then on, I was raised by Alex's family as their future daughter-in-law. At school, many classmates envied me for coming from such a good family. I didn't argue, just smiled bitterly. My life was privileged, but I had no freedom. During my high school entrance exams, I didn't do well. Late at night, my mother became more and more furious as she thought about it. She believed I had embarrassed her. She stormed into my room, pulled me up, and slapped me across the face. In high school, I rebelled and had an early romance, which earned me another slap from my father. He warned me that if I didn't want to marry into Alex's family, my only other option was to marry one of those older businessmen, almost 20 years my senior. The first time I met Alex, I was 15. It was arranged by both families. Back then, Alex was different from who he is now. He was a boy who laughed easily, showing his emotions openly. I don't have a strong impression of him from that time. I just remember his white shirt under the blue sky and his eyes, which were so full of emotion. Later, I heard he was in a cold war with his family over his first love. I admired him and envied him. At least he had the courage to resist, to fight back. But not long after, my mother-in-law came to visit our home. She had a proper, yet apologetic smile on her face, holding my mother's hand and reassuring her, "Don't worry, Alex's situation has been resolved." I was hiding at the door, listening, feeling a deep sense of disappointment. I thought, of course, it ended like this. After that, my family kept arranging meetings between Alex and me. At first, he was resistant and treated me coldly, but over time, he gradually accepted it, and occasionally he would even speak to me. I also watched as he changed from a boy full of sharp edges to someone silent and reserved, hiding all his emotions, and that custom gardenia scent he used to carry with him eventually faded away into the air. Chapter 6. when I was 20, and Alex was 24. We were on our way to a gala when we unexpectedly encountered a landslide and were trapped in the car. Alex and I were buried together for a whole day and night. The last thing I remembered before the rescue team found us was his arm stretched over my body, pierced by the collapsed car frame, blood and flesh torn apart. When I woke up, he proposed to me, in front of my family and everyone else. He asked, "Lisa, will you be my wife?" At that moment, I looked at his arm, wrapped in white bandages. I remembered how, when we were trapped in the car, he called my name in panic, telling me, "Lisa, don't fall asleep. If you fall asleep now, you'll never be free again." Without thinking, I placed my hand in his. I ignored the calm, emotionless look in his downcast eyes, as if he were completing a necessary ritual. So, we got married. 4 years later, just as everyone wished, we had a child. When Ryan was born, both families adored him. My mother-in-law believed he needed the same elite education that Alex received. That's why he poured out the milk and, like his father, with an innocent face, apologized to me while doing what he believed was right. Chapter 7. I don't know what goes through the minds of this father and son. Not even a week had passed when I received another call from Alex. He was using a different number, because I had blocked him. This wasn't like Alex, dragging things out. After the call connected, there was silence for a few seconds. Just as I was feeling confused and about to hang up, Alex's voice came through. "Lisa." He called my name. "Your parents said you didn't go home. Where did you go? Is it the southern city?" He was tracking me. I knew he had the ability to do so, but what I felt was an unexplainable anger. In our 9 years of marriage, he had been distant, cold, and we lived under the same roof like strangers. Now, in just half a month, he had called me more times than he had in the entire past year. I used to text him, "Are you coming home for dinner tonight? Are you in a meeting? Does your stomach hurt? Should I make some porridge and bring it to you?" His most common reply was just, Now he acted as if nothing had happened. With a hoarse voice over the phone, he asked me, "Lisa, I had a business dinner today, and my stomach feels uncomfortable from drinking. Where did you leave the medicine at home? And also, Ryan caught a cold from his classmates at kindergarten. He has a fever of 38 degrees Celsius and keeps complaining about how bad he feels. What did you usually do to make him feel better?" I was beyond furious. I forced myself to stay calm, trying not to sound like a hysterical madwoman, and told him, word by word, "Alex, we are divorced. I am no longer your wife, nor your housekeeper. Whether your stomach hurts or not, and whether you can find the medicine, it's none of my business. Besides, there are plenty of people you can ask to get you medicine with just one call. As for the child being sick, telling me won't do any good. I'm not a doctor, and I've never heard of a father who has to ask the child's mother what to do in this situation. I don't know what you're trying to do, whether it's resentment or just habit after being taken care of for so long. But Alex, I don't want to sound harsh. We are over, and I don't want you disrupting my life anymore. Do you understand?" After saying all this, I hung up the phone. I flipped the phone over, pulled out the SIM card, and threw it in the trash. Chapter 8. In today's world, everything is tied to your phone number. I didn't expect Alex and Ryan to keep calling me every few days. Of course, I didn't think it was because Alex had lingering feelings for me. It was just that they were so used to me taking care of them, and now they couldn't adjust. I got a new SIM card and withdrew some cash. I signed up for a scientific expedition group and followed them on a trip to the Northwest. This was a project I had seen online before. When I brought it up back then, Alex said he didn't have time. The friends in our circle laughed and said, "That's way too shabby, Lisa, for someone like Alex. Going on such a cheap trip would be so embarrassing." I just smiled and said nothing more. At the time, I thought it was just a passing whim. My in-laws would never have allowed me to act so recklessly. I never expected that now. It would be so easy. Once a chain is broken, the person who has been bound must first begin to struggle from within. Chapter 9. The day I set off with the scientific expedition team, the sky was clear. The journey was by train. The train swayed along the route, and every time I fell into a deep, troubled sleep, I would be gently shaken awake. The first light of dawn broke through. Hazy and bewildering, the expedition followed the Qinghai-Gansu Grand Loop. We departed from Xining, passing through Shaka in Qinghai, stopping by the Charkhan Salt Lake, and passing through Daxiao Chaidan and Devil's City. The Mogao Caves rose majestically from the desert, and Crescent Lake was serene under the night sky. We continued to Dunhuang, crossing Jiaguan, and witnessed countless multicolored formations in the Shanya National Geological Park. Most of the people in the expedition were geologists. They seemed quiet and reserved, yet could talk endlessly about a pile of dirt, a blade of grass, or an unknown wildflower. Sometimes humorous, sometimes witty, they filled the vast, sparsely populated Northwest with vibrant life. I can't deny that my good upbringing and those years being groomed by Alex's family allowed me to experience things most people don't get to see. In the past, I thought that traveling was something best done with family to truly enjoy it. But now, hiking through the Yadin formations, camping in the desert, burnt lamb, and the dust covering me, made the stars shine even brighter. I knew Alex would still find out about my itinerary, but it no longer mattered. After the Northwest Loop ended, I exchanged contact information with this new group of friends. After resting for a few days in the city, we set off again on the Sichuan-Tibet route. The moment I reached the top of Mount Everest, I had severe altitude sickness. Breathing became difficult, and my head felt like it would explode. For a moment, I thought I wouldn't make it off the highest mountain in the world. But in the distance, the sun bathed the golden peaks, and everyone on the summit was cheering. In that overwhelming and chaotic atmosphere, I burst into tears. The team scrambled to give me oxygen and high-sugar drinks. They thought I was in too much pain and quickly tried to comfort me. "Hey, don't cry, girl. It's okay. It's okay. Your oxygen levels are coming up. Don't worry. We're here. You're not gonna die. Yeah, girl. You're still young. You'll be fine. You've got a long road ahead of you. This is just the beginning." I sobbed uncontrollably, but eventually, the accent of a man from the Northeast made me laugh through my tears. With their help, I stood up from the snow, facing the sun-kissed golden peaks, facing my rebirth. No matter how many chains there are, no matter how hard the journey, I can still reach the summit on my own. Can't I? Chapter 10. After coming back, I rediscovered some of my old hobbies, like extreme sports, like racing, and like adopting a dog I liked. Before I got engaged to Alex, I was actually a carefree and lively person. I loved everything full of life and energy. But later, when I didn't even have my own freedom, how could I talk about love? The dog I adopted is a mixed-breed Maltese, and I named her Anin. She has soft, caramel-colored fur and innocent, big eyes. Every time she runs, her ears flap up and down like a little gas tank. Dogs are easier to get along with than people. Dogs understand your needs better than people do. Dogs will never neglect you. A dog knows you love it, and it loves you in return. The next time I saw Alex was at the entrance of my new home. I was just about to take Anin for a walk. When I opened the door, I saw Alex standing by the elevator. Beside him, holding his hand, was Ryan, nervously staring at Anin. Chapter 11. What are you here for? I sat across from Alex, asking him coldly. Ryan was lying at the end of the sofa, frowning as he watched Anin eating her meal. Alex stared at me silently for a while. "Lisa, you've lost weight." I raised my eyelids slightly. "Don't avoid the question. It's our son. He wanted to see you, and I couldn't stop him." "Alex," I asked him, "do you remember what I told you last time? We're divorced. Please stop disturbing my life. Don't you understand?" Alex's lips pressed into a thin line. "Lisa, Ryan is still young. He can't grow up without a mother." I laughed. I called the security guard in the complex, and had this father and son escorted out. Ryan didn't want to leave. He stood stubbornly at the entrance of my home, looking at me, opening his mouth as if wanting to say something. I held Anin and didn't look at him. I firmly shut the door. I was afraid that if I looked at him again, I would unconsciously soften. He is the child I brought into this world through excruciating pain in the operating room. My own flesh and blood. I held him, loved him, soothed him, cared for him. The first word he ever said was mama. When he was little, Ryan would cry around everyone, except when he was in my arms, then he was quiet and sweet. But later, my mother-in-law said I wasn't raising him properly and insisted on giving him an elite education. A child's upbringing is always a reflection of the teachings they receive. Whatever someone tells them, that's what they remember and act upon. As Ryan grew older, he no longer wanted to be close to me. He began to distance himself, treating me with the same polite formality that Alex did. He would call me mama but use formal language like you, a respectful form of you. Mama. Can my dad teach me? Grandma says you don't have as high of an education as dad, so you can't teach me well. Mama. Why do you stay home all the time? Don't you have any hobbies? All my classmates' mothers do. Mama. You're too serious. Not like Aunt Vanessa. She always has new, fun ideas. Chapter 12. After I told the security guard not to let people in randomly, Alex changed his approach. Sometimes, in the morning, he would wait for me alone at the entrance of the complex, sitting in the back seat of his Maybach, looking as if he hadn't slept all night. When he saw me, he would hand me a steaming hot breakfast, looking tired and worn. You don't eat breakfast in the morning. It's bad for your stomach. Eat a little, at least. Sometimes, he would bring Ryan along, following me as I walked the dog. I passed by them without a glance, never once looking their way. The neighbors I met while walking my dog would sometimes curiously ask me about the handsome father and son, wondering what they were to me. I told them honestly, he's my ex-husband, whose heart belongs to someone else, and his son, who prefers that lady. They would look embarrassed, and then quickly rally to my side. Whenever they saw Alex and Ryan, they would warn me ahead of time, telling me not to go out and avoid the sight. I would smile softly, and tell them it was fine. I stopped caring a long time ago. Chapter 13. Alex has always been busy. There are many things waiting for him at the company. He couldn't possibly stay here, bothering me all the time. Many times, I saw him sitting in the car, exhausted, taking one phone call after another. Maybe it was from the company, maybe from his family. After all, he had been spending too much time away with Ryan. Sometimes, Ryan would secretly ask the driver to take him out to find me, without Alex knowing. Then, without saying a word, he would follow closely behind me with small, careful steps. I focused on walking in, giving her water and coaxing her to eat snacks, and then would happily wag her little tail and softly bark at me. Woof, woof. Ryan would watch from the side, not saying a word, his eyes filled with anger. Children aren't as good as adults at hiding their emotions. Once, Anin ran too fast, and Ryan couldn't keep up. In his panic, he tripped and fell on the stone pavement. Finally, he couldn't hold back his tears and cried out, with red eyes, "Mama, it hurts." Ryan, after growing up a bit, rarely cried, but he must have been feeling very upset and frustrated. As he lay on the ground sobbing uncontrollably, looking at me with pure devastation, I watched him quietly, without any reaction, until the bodyguards following him rushed over and picked him up from the ground. Ryan used to get sick often, and whenever he did, I would feel distressed and heartbroken. But now, my heart is calm, no longer stirred by the slightest emotion. Chapter 14. My life nowadays isn't affected by the presence of Alex and Ryan. After coming back from my trip, I signed up for a racing club. I wanted to pick up some of my old hobbies. I didn't expect to get lucky and be selected for a race, although I knew there was a good chance I'd be knocked out in the first round. I still prepared seriously for a long time. The race was scheduled for a week later. On the day of departure, I purposely booked a flight for the early morning. The pre-race nerves were intense, a mix of anticipation and calm. The wind on the track ripped through the scorching sun, and time seemed to stop as the tires screeched against the ground. Sweat gathered beneath my racing suit, pulling tight as I chased and overtook. When I took off my helmet, drenched in sweat, and stood on the podium, waves of cheers echoed from the stands. Second place, a result I never expected. As the crowd dispersed and I walked out, I saw Alex standing in the crowd, holding Ryan's hand, Ryan was clutching a bouquet of flowers in his arms. He was guarding the flowers carefully, dodging everyone passing by, afraid they might crush them. The moment Alex saw me, he nodded, a faint smile spreading across his face, and mouthed 2 words, from the shape of his lips. It seemed like he said, "Congratulations." Ryan's face was flushed with excitement as he waved to me, calling out in a crisp voice, "Mama, you were amazing." People around us were smiling at the scene, but I felt nothing but annoyance. I grabbed my things and kept walking. Alex and Ryan approached me. "Lisa, I didn't know you could do this. Why didn't you mention it before?" "Mama, you were so cool just now. You have no idea how nervous I was when you overtook that car in front." I acted as if I hadn't heard them and kept walking. Alex reached out and grabbed my hand, lowering his voice as he asked gently, "Lisa, how about we have dinner tonight to celebrate?" Ryan really misses you." Ryan, hearing this, immediately looked at me with hopeful eyes, trying to push the bouquet into my hands. I pulled my hand away, avoiding them. "I'm very busy. I don't have time. You two can go ahead without me." Chapter 15. Alex had become lax with his work. Ryan hadn't been home for too long. Inevitably, my mother-in-law came to find me. As I looked at this woman who once chose me and later became estranged from me, I felt an indescribable sense of sadness. Maybe it was because we were both mothers, or maybe because we were both women. "Lisa, I chose you back then because you were quiet and reserved, someone suitable to be the daughter-in-law of our family. But now, neither Alex nor Ryan is coming home because of you. How is this any different from Vanessa back then? Lisa, come back. If nothing else, just for my sake, give Alex another chance." My mother-in-law was never the aggressive type of wealthy matron. On the contrary, she always spoke gently and politely, just like Alex and Ryan did with me. I thought, if it weren't for her son and grandson, she wouldn't have put aside her pride and sat here in my small 2-bedroom apartment, asking me to give Alex another chance. But, Auntie, Alex doesn't love me. Our marriage has wasted 9 years of my life. When you chose me, it wasn't because of me, but because of my family. Now, I've fulfilled all of your expectations. Our families are closely tied, inseparable. I gave birth to Ryan, just as you wanted. Ryan is growing up well, and without me, you'll take good care of him. Isn't it time? Isn't it time you give me my freedom back? There was a time when my father broke my leg and killed the dog I raised. I was timid and too scared to resist. Later, I married Alex, and their goals were achieved. We now had Ryan, whose blood ties us all together. I was no longer of any use. But the most important thing is, Auntie, I no longer love Alex. My youthful heart once fluttered when I heard, "Lisa, if you fall asleep now, you'll never be free again. Will you marry me? Maybe I can give you freedom." But over time, the boy who once fought dragons became a dragon himself, forgetting the promise he had made so casually. Sigh. My mother-in-law let out a deep sigh and spoke into the air. "Did you hear that, Alex?" Mom did her best. Beside her handbag, the screen of her phone was lit. Alex's name was displayed, and the call was still connected. Chapter 16. That evening, Alex appeared at my doorstep. "Lisa, I still want to give it another try. I know I didn't do well before, that I neglected you. Can you give me a chance to make it right, to start over?" I looked at him quietly. "I think I've made myself clear." Alex dejectedly ran a hand through his disheveled hair. He always paid attention to his appearance, and it was rare to see him looking this messy. He was wearing a charcoal gray suit, but with a pair of bright blue cufflinks. The color contrast was glaring, a major mistake. In the past, I was the one who carefully coordinated his outfits, but now, all I could think about was when he would leave. Alex looked at me, disheveled and desperate. I love you, Lisa. I just didn't realize it before. I didn't know how to love. I took you for granted, and that's why I hurt you. It wasn't until you left that I understood. I can't live without you. It's all my fault. Lisa, please. Please give me one more chance. And Ryan, he needs you too. He cries every day. calling for his mom. No one can comfort him but you. Can't you? For his sake, not be so final? Oh, he says he loves me. He says he didn't know how to love, that he never loved anyone. Back when we were meeting under the arrangement of our families, he said to me, Lisa, you know there's someone in my heart, right? At the time, he was in a terrible fight with his family over Vanessa. After we got married, when I heard that Vanessa had a new boyfriend in the US, that's when Alex came home drunk for the first time. The next day, my mother-in-law asked us when we planned to have children, and Alex sarcastically said that if she replaced my perfume with the custom gardenia scent, he'd agree to it. Every moment, every instance, there was always the shadow of someone else. And he says he's never loved anyone? I looked at him mockingly. And what about Vanessa? Alex froze, as if his lies had finally been exposed. He lowered his eyes and said seriously, there is no Vanessa. Lisa, there never was. I just didn't want to follow my family's arrangements back then, so I made it up. I've only ever loved you. From the beginning to the end, it's only ever been you. Ridiculous. Chapter 17. I used to wonder if Alex neglected me and gave me the silent treatment because he resented me over Vanessa. I know what it feels like to be powerless, but I didn't feel sorry for him. After Ryan was born, my feelings for Alex gradually faded, and I numbly went about doing things that were expected of me as the daughter-in-law of a prestigious family. I placed my hopes on Ryan. I longed for someone in this family who was connected to me by blood. In those early days, Ryan became my only source of comfort. But after just 2 years, that hope turned into a thorn that pierced me deeply. Maybe Alex did love me, but compared to his pride, his dignity, and everything else, it was clear he had simply become used to my care and constant presence. In our marriage, whatever the reason, his neglect, his silent treatment, and his assumption that women should naturally bear the burden of the household were undeniable facts. No one is incapable of love. And no one doesn't know how to love. Only after losing something does one realize its value. But this is just a mix of regret and not having found something better. Loving something in youth is never wrong, and giving it up in maturity is never a mistake. Alex, keep a little dignity for yourself. Chapter 18. Alex had always been a proud man, and he understood my words. So the last time I saw him was, once again, at my home. Recently, I joined another group and went on a trip to Xinjiang. It was the rainy season, and I got caught in a few downpours. Along with all the recent stress, I inevitably fell ill when I returned. When I woke up feeling terrible and weak, it was Alex who helped me sit up. Ryan was at the bedside, quietly asking with concern, Mama, are you okay? Does anything hurt? Can Dad and I take you to the hospital? Alex propped a pillow behind me and said, When I saw you staggering as you returned to the complex last night, I knew something was wrong. I followed you upstairs and found you passed out at your door from the fever. I had someone give you a fever-reducing injection. How do you feel now? Are you still in pain? He asked softly, carefully handing me something, a glass, filled with warm, milky liquid. It was a cup of warm milk. You didn't eat much last night. Drink some milk to warm your stomach. Lisa, he called my name softly, the tone familiar as he began to scold me. You can't take care of yourself. If Ryan and I weren't here today, no one would have known you were sick. Lisa, come home with us, please? Let Ryan and I take care of you. I watched as Alex spoke those words, clearly uncomfortable, and next to him, Ryan kept nodding, showing his agreement. I smiled. I reached out and took a cup of milk. The next second, I let it go. The glass slipped from my fingers. With a crash, it shattered into pieces on the floor. The white milk spilled, flowing across the floor. I pointed at the mess and said slowly, Alex, you see, once a cup is broken, it can't be put back together, and spilled milk can never be recovered. And then, just a few minutes later, there was a sudden knock on my door, followed by the sounds of many people talking. Ryan went to open the door. A group of people bustled in, all carrying large bags, completely surrounding my bed. Oh dear, how did you get sick, girl? I told you not to go out in the rain, but they insisted on dragging you into the rainforest. Sweetie, are you still feeling bad? I brought you those soft candies you said you liked last time. If the medicine tastes bitter, have one, and I promise you'll feel better. As everyone talked over each other, they finally noticed the presence of the man and the boy in the room. Hesitantly, someone asked, "And who are these two?" I saw Alex and Ryan both instinctively tense up. So, in the midst of all this attention, I smiled and introduced them to the crowd. Not important. Just a friend and his son. We won't be seeing them again. They're leaving soon. But Ryan is still a child. He immediately broke down, standing at the door, crying loudly, shouting, "I don't want to leave. I want my mama." The noise startled Anin, who barked at him a few times. The bodyguards accompanying them quickly emerged from hiding, scooping up the child and helping the stumbling man out the door. I, too, once shared the same boat, but spilled water can never be recovered, and the river never stops flowing. Extra Story 1. When Ryan turned 12, he finally mustered up the courage to break ties with Alex. He said he was going to find Lisa. He didn't understand why something so simple and easy was met with constant opposition from Alex. What Ryan didn't know was that over the years, Alex had secretly gone to see Lisa. The reason Alex didn't want Ryan to go was because Lisa had remarried and now had a lovely little girl. Alex had always thought that their marriage had been a complete failure. Lisa, being so sensitive and easily hurt, would need a long time to truly move on. But what Alex didn't expect was that Lisa wasn't at all the way he imagined. She had changed so much that Alex barely recognized her. She smiled with joy. She lived with freedom and passion. It was as if that was who she had always been. Alex suddenly recalled the first time he met Lisa. The girl had been quiet and reserved, sitting across from him as her mother held her hand. At the time, Alex was under strict control by his mother, furious after hearing that his marriage had been arranged. Naturally, he couldn't stand this girl, for years younger than him, who seemed so dull and stiff. Those years were filled with endless arguments with his family. Even his grandfather eventually had to step in. With no other choice, Alex reluctantly agreed to break up with his first love, Vanessa. Vanessa was his university classmate, straightforward and bold. She agreed to help him out without hesitation. At the time, Alex didn't know that Vanessa had feelings for him. He later felt guilty about it. After she returned, they had dinner a few times and discussed some collaboration projects. Alex thought that knowing this would make Lisa forgive him. At least he believed that he hadn't truly wronged Lisa. He always thought his mistake was directing his resentment toward Lisa, blaming her for the family's control over him, which made him cold and indifferent. It caused Lisa to lose hope, unable to endure anymore, leading to their divorce. It wasn't until Alex saw Lisa's life after the divorce that he realized what he had truly missed. Lisa had married a police officer, whom she met during an impromptu roadside rescue she had participated in. The officer's job was busy, but he always found time to take Lisa on walks. They traveled to see mountains, to see the sea, to search for the essence of life itself. The police officer always tried to let Lisa know about any work updates or arrangements as soon as possible. Whenever he passed by something interesting or new on his way home, he would either buy it or take a picture to send to Lisa. They shared their lives with each other. They loved each other deeply. And so, not long after, Lisa gave birth to a daughter. When their daughter was just starting to babble, she loved running outside, clutching the little Maltese dog in her arms. As the girl grew older, in kindergarten, she would boast to her friends with wild enthusiasm, "My mom is amazing. She can do crafts, and she can drive race cars. Do you want to come to my house? I can introduce you to my mom." Meanwhile, Alex was like a shadow, lurking in the background, watching someone else's life. Sometimes, he thought about stepping forward to greet Lisa. He wanted to ask her how she was doing, if she was eating well, but each time, he silently withdrew, pulling his foot back. After that, he never tried to find out about Lisa again. One year, during Chinese New Year, after attending a social event, Alex returned to his empty home alone. He tugged at his tie, feeling uncomfortable, and called out, "Lisa, I'm thirsty." He expected to be met with a warm light, a cup of warm milk, but the only thing that greeted him was endless darkness and silence. In that moment, the overwhelming weight of regret crushed Alex, making it hard for him to breathe. His tall frame slowly slid down by the doorway. In the darkness, the sound of his anguished sobbing echoed through the emptiness. Extra story 2. In the third year of Ryan's Cold War with Alex, he finally found his chance. After shaking off the bodyguards, he scoffed. Is that all they've got? With a face that looked more and more like Alex's, he sat alone on the high-speed train heading to the southern city. Flying would have been too easy for his family to track, so Ryan casually bought a train ticket, went through a transfer, and finally arrived at the residential area he once visited. 10 years had passed. Ryan wasn't sure if Lisa still lived there. He looked at the now older, worn-down walls, the newly renovated gate, and nervously knocked on the door. Knock, 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 knock. With a creak, the door opened. Ryan's eyes lit up with hope as he looked up, but it was an unfamiliar face. Who are you looking for? I'm looking for my mom. Lisa, don't know her. You've got the wrong place. So, she hadn't lived here for a long time. Ryan, feeling dejected, hung his head. After walking a short distance from the neighborhood, he instinctively turned around and looked at the other path leading to the park, paved with stone. It was the same place where he had once tripped and fallen. Lisa hadn't come to help him up. Suddenly, Ryan remembered that when he was very young, just learning to walk, he would often stumble and fall. Back then, Lisa wouldn't pick him up either. Instead, she would gently encourage him. Ryan, don't cry. It's okay to fall. Ryan can get up by himself, right? Mama believes in you. And with that, he would wipe away his tears, wobble back to his feet, and run toward Lisa, who was watching him with eyes full of love. He'd throw himself into her arms, where she would hug him tight, kiss him, and say, "Wow, our Ryan is amazing. A real little man." As a young child, Ryan had loved Lisa very much. His mother was always gentle, reliable, and patient. But later, under the influence of his father, his grandmother, and the rest of the family, he grew to resent Lisa. He thought Lisa was just a housewife who stayed home all day without a career, only knowing how to enjoy her life as a rich lady. He hated how Lisa tried to discipline him, and he didn't like her setting boundaries, because Lisa's views were always different from those of his grandmother and father, and everyone in the family said that Grandma and Dad were the ones who were right. So after Lisa left, Ryan always believed that he had been influenced by others. He thought that he was too young at the time to understand certain things, and that's why Lisa didn't want him either. Ryan never thought it was his own fault, until he saw that little girl. After a fight, her face was smudged like a little cat, but she still loudly shouted, "Do you give up? Don't you dare say anything bad about my mom again." Ryan witnessed the whole scene. A few boys had made snide comments, saying that the little girl's mom didn't have a proper job, that she was always out playing or racing, and wasn't a respectable housewife. The girl exploded like a firecracker. Without hesitation, she started beating them up. "Your moms just aren't as capable, so they're jealous of mine. If they've got the guts, tell them to win a championship too. Ha, you're just bitter because your lives aren't as good as ours. Too bad. Too bad." In the end, the girl's grandmother came to take her away. The grandmother, unhappy, scolded her for not acting like a proper young lady, complaining, "You're just like your mother." It was exactly how Ryan's grandmother used to criticize him when he was younger. "Don't be like your mother." What had Ryan thought back then? He thought they were right. He believed that his grandmother and father were more capable than his mother. In his mind, he was a boy, the future heir to his father's legacy. His mother didn't understand anything, so why should he listen to her? So he accepted it. He agreed with them. But what did the little girl do? She giggled and didn't directly blame her grandmother. Instead, she hugged her grandmother's arm and playfully whined, "Grandma, don't be mad. It was all my idea, not my mom's. Don't always blame her. My mom is the best in the world. She even bought you a necklace when she went out last week." "Really?" "Of course. My mom loves you too." "Ahem, well, all right then. Grandma won't say anything bad anymore. I'll listen to my precious granddaughter." Suddenly, Ryan was overwhelmed with sadness, especially when he saw Lisa appear, holding the little girl in her arms. A child's upbringing requires the involvement of both parents, especially the role of the father. A father's attitude towards the mother shapes how the child views her. Alex didn't set a good example for him, and Ryan himself had never thought there was anything wrong with that. It was as if he was inherently lacking the ability to empathy for his own mother. Later, Ryan's life followed the same path as Alex's. The family arranged a marriage for him. He sat across from the girl, and they stared at each other in silence. The girl was quiet, gentle, and didn't speak much. Ryan's grandmother adored her. Ryan struggled, resisted, and tried every possible way to escape it. He even ran away from home with no money, only to be caught and brought back in disgrace. He asked his father what he had done back then. Alex just looked at him, said nothing, and waved him out of the study. But just when Ryan had lost all hope and was ready to give in, Alex suddenly stepped in and broke off the engagement for him. Ryan didn't know what Alex had done, but judging by the expressions on his grandparents' faces, they seemed furious. And after that day, Alex seemed drained, as if his spirit had been sucked away, suddenly aging by years. Within 5 years, his body had been ravaged by illness, and he reached the end. On his deathbed, Alex held Ryan's hand, touching his face, as if remembering something, as if reluctant to let go. Ryan's eyes were the only feature that resembled Lisa. Ryan couldn't hold back from asking what Alex had done all those years ago to make the family change their attitude. Alex still didn't answer directly. Instead, he told him, "That was your mother's only request from me back then." On the day Ryan was born, Lisa lay weakly in the hospital bed, pleading with Alex, "Alex, in the future, can you make sure that our child doesn't have to walk the same path we did?" At the time, Alex didn't take it to heart. He thought Lisa was just feeling protective of Ryan. It was only later that he realized what Lisa had truly been asking for all along: freedom. The distant horizon, the wide, open sky that neither of them had ever experienced. The blue sky was still calm, with clouds drifting gently. Alex seemed to have gone back to that summer, or perhaps he had never been rescued, still buried in that car beneath the dirt. In the darkness, the girl's breath brushed against his face as she called his name. "Alex, are you okay?" Alex remembered that his arm had been pierced by the car frame, and by midnight, he had developed a fever. With the drop in temperature, his lips were dry, and he was unbearably thirsty. In his delirium, he dreamed of finding a spring. He drank from it, quenching his thirst, but the water had a strange metallic taste, like blood. When he opened his eyes, he saw a fresh bite mark on the girl's pale wrist, with blood still drying on it. Alex quietly looked at her weakened face and called her name. "Lisa, don't sleep," he told her. "If you fall asleep, you'll never be free again." And in the midst of sorrowful cries, Alex's hand slowly fell,